What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another week of fantasy stardom and situm, and this is week number 13. That means we are one week away from the fantasy football playoffs, and that means you guys are probably going to make it or break it this week. There's probably quite a few of you out there that are really looking to make the playoffs this week, and I'm going to do my best and give you my best advice possible to help you guys make the fantasy playoffs this week. So before we do get into the fantasy starts and sits this week, though, make sure you hit that like button, Gronk spike it, and also subscribe to the channel for more fantasy football tips, tricks, starts, and situms. Comment below your thoughts, your opinions on this week, any players you really like, and also questions you have for me. I always answer your questions. As long as you don't put them in the comment section at 12:59. I will make sure that I answer your questions and your start and sit questions as best as I can to my best ability. Okay, let's get to the quarterback starts of the week. Jared Goff versus the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff secretly has been the best fantasy quarterback since week number 8. He's averaging 28 points per game through that span, and with 2 weeks to prepare, I really like Sean McVay's offense up against Matt Patricia's defense. The Lions have given up multiple touchdown passes in 3 straight games. I expect Jared Goff to be big after the bye. Now, this is a big one here. Tom Brady. A lot of people might have him in the sit column for this week, but little do they know that Tom Brady, yes, he hasn't been Tom Brady, but he has been great at home. He's averaging over 300 yards at home, and he's averaging over 2 touchdowns at home this year. The Patriots actually haven't played as many home games as I would have liked personally as a fan, but I think that McDaniels and Tom Brady will have a great game plan coming into this game against the Vikings. I also do like that everybody's healthy for the Patriots offense and team in general, and I think they'll have a nice plan for this defense, a defense that has been taken advantage of at times this season. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been really hot lately, really good for fantasy, and the 49ers have surrendered over 100 passer rating in general this year and an average of almost 23 fantasy points on the road. They also give up a lot of big plays, so Tyler Lockett, David Moore, these guys should have big games. Russell Wilson should hit them deep on some big play action plays, and I could see Russell Wilson having a 3-touchdown, 300-yard game against the 49ers. Deshaun Watson. Watson plays the Browns this year. They're 30th versus the pass and 31st in total yards given up. So Deshaun Watson been hot lately, playing really well, looking really healthy. The Texans are on a hot streak. They're on a win streak. I expect that win streak to continue. They're at home. Like I said, Browns not a very good defense. And I think DeAndre Hopkins should have a really nice game here. I think Deshaun Watson will have the same. Jameis Winston plays the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, I don't know if you've been watching them lately, especially on defense. Their defense has been horrendous. The last couple of games they've played been really awful. And against the Seattle Seahawks, they gave up a ton of big plays. Jameis Winston is a big play quarterback in one direction or the other, if you know what I mean. But this week, I expect it to be in the positive direction because the Carolina Panthers have allowed 12 touchdown passes and an average of almost 24 fantasy points per contest to opposing quarterbacks since week number 9. So start Jameis this week. Quarterback sits. Matt Ryan. The Ravens defense is first in yards allowed, second in passing yards allowed, and first in points allowed. They're also third on third down. The Ravens defense is very solid, and it travels well. So Matt Ryan, even though he is at home, I don't expect this to be a great game. So just limit your expectation for Matt Ryan. If you have 2 quarterback options, possibly go with the other one. Matt Stafford. He has failed to reach 16 fantasy points in 4 straight games. He's just not been good, and the weapons aren't there for him. He's playing a Rams defense that leads the NFL in pressure rate. Not a good matchup for the Lions or Stafford. Baker Mayfield. The Texans are number 4 in fewest fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks at 17.3 per game. Baker has been really good, really solid, and he should have a good game in expectation, but I don't really see him having a great fantasy game this week. And the Texans at home, even better. So J.J. Watt's been amazing. Jadeveon Clowney's been amazing. I know Baker Mayfield's played great for a rookie, but I just don't love him in fantasy this week. Eli Manning. Manning has been sacked at least 4 times in 6 games. He is now playing the Chicago Bears. I don't really think I need to say more than that, so sit Eli. Kirk Cousins, yes, I think like Brady, some people will have him in the start column, some people will have him in the sit column. For Kirk Cousins, when playing with the lead, the Patriots defense is really good. They are top 6 in the NFL in yards per attempt, completion percentage, and pressure rate. Pressure rate, surprisingly. But the Patriots defense has played really well at home. And I think on the road, the Vikings will struggle to protect the quarterback. They do traditionally, and they don't have a great offensive line. Also, the Vikings have a very simplistic offense, and that's the type of offense I don't love against Bill Belichick defenses. So I don't love Kirk Cousins this week. Running back starts, Phillip Lindsay. This kid is spectacular, and he's playing the Bengals. The Bengals have allowed 7 touchdowns and the most fantasy points to runners since week number 9. Gus Edwards of the Baltimore Ravens. He is going to absolutely plunge his way and just boom, right through the Atlanta Falcons defense. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons defense is very much built on speed, finesse, and Edwards is a big power back. So during the last 4 weeks, stats back this up, Atlanta is the worst team against opposing running backs. LaShawn McCoy, the only team that failed to rush for over 100 yards against the Miami Dolphins was the New York Jets. I expect the Bills to have a nice day on the ground because Josh Allen allows that to happen. The last time they played, LaShawn McCoy has been really good traditionally against the Dolphins, and I really think that LaShawn McCoy should have a good game. I don't think LaShawn McCoy is done from a physical standpoint. I still think he has some left in the tank, and 5 times this season, the Dolphins have allowed more than 150 yards on the ground. So start Shady McCoy if you need a flex play. Austin Ekeler, he's facing a Steelers defense that has not been good lately against running backs. They've actually allowed a running back to score in 4 games in a row. So Ekeler should be one of those backs to score again. But Austin Ekeler, the thing I really like about this matchup is he's great in the passing game. He reminds me a lot of Danny Woodhead. I've said this once, I'll say it again. And I don't think the Steelers have a linebacker that can cover him in open space. I think Phillip Rivers will take advantage of that. Lamar Miller's been really good, and he looks fast. He looks good, man. And he's scored at least 13 PPR points in 4 of the last 5 games, including 2 in a row. So Lamar Miller is consistent, and I would start him in your lineup again against the Browns defense, which isn't great. Running back sits, Tevin Coleman. He's only scored once on the ground since week 1. He's been super inconsistent, and he's been an absolute failure in terms of expectations. I don't like him again this week against the Ravens. Adrian Peterson, he's failed to score more than 9 fantasy points in 3 of the last 4 games. AP has been good at times this year, but not lately. There's problems on the O-line, and there's no real weapons to stretch the defense. And then you got Colt McCoy at quarterback. It's just not great. Peyton Barber, defense has allowed 8 fewest points the Carolina Panthers have to running backs and held Barber to just 6 fantasy points in week number 9. This just isn't a good matchup for the Bucs front and the Bucs in the running game. I think the Panthers will swallow that up, and I think Jameis will have a good game, like I said, but not the running game. LeGarrette Blount, this is a game flow sit. LeGarrette Blount has been decent since taking over for Kerryon Johnson in his injury since he's been out, but LeGarrette Blount, I think he's a guy that really needs to play with the lead, or the game needs to be close. I just don't see that happening. I think Theo Riddick is a decent start this week because they'll be coming from behind a lot, but I don't see LeGarrette Blount getting any touchdowns in this game. Carlos Hyde. Indianapolis is actually among the league leaders in fewest rushing touchdowns allowed. So that being said, with only 5 rushing touchdowns allowed on the season, Carlos Hyde, I don't love the play. I would actually prefer TJ Yeldon. Wide receiver starts. Let's go with Julian Edelman. Edelman has been really, really good recently, especially over the last 4 weeks. He's looked physically better and better every single week as the season goes on. 28 catches in the last 4 games, over 100 yards twice. I think this game, he will have a nice day because I think they'll really be attacking the middle of the field of the Vikings. And if the Vikings do play a lot of zone, which they traditionally do, I think Edelman will take advantage of that like he typically does. Tyler Lockett, he's failed to score a touchdown in just 3 games this year. This entire year, Tyler Lockett scored a touchdown in every game but 3. And he comes into week 13 with at least 12 PPR points in 3 games in a row. 9 guys in the past 6 games have scored at least 12 PPR points against this secondary in San Francisco. I think Lockett could have a couple of big plays in this game, and I really like the start this week. DJ Moore, Last 2 games, 15 catches for 248 yards, 1 touchdown. He plays the Bucs. They suck. They stink on defense. Josh Reynolds, 9 catches for 122 yards and 3 touchdowns on 13 targets in the last 2 games since Cooper Kupp has been out. Lions have allowed 8 touchdowns to receivers in the past 5 games. Reynolds is impressive. He's a good receiver. He's would be a number 3 receiver on basically every other team in the NFL, and he's looked really good, and I think he'll take advantage again in this game. Corey Davis. Corey Davis is very talented. He has a lot of skill. The last 3 games, Davis has been consistent and solid for fantasy because Marcus Mariota has been able to finish games. The Jets have allowed 7 touchdowns to receivers in the past 7 games. I expect Corey Davis to maybe be the guy receiving that touchdown from Mariota in this game against the Jets. Wide receiver sits, Jarvis Landry. Landry has been really disappointing for the most part this year. He's struggled recently. He's only topped 39 receiving yards just once in the last 4 games and is averaging less than 8 yards per catch in that stretch. So not good for Landry. Alshon Jeffery, he has been horrible. I don't know what to say about Alshon Jeffery that hasn't been said. He's been really bad. Carson Wentz isn't targeting him, and he's not making anything happen down the field. I just can't start him with my season on the line. Stephon Diggs, I'm not saying sit him, but I don't think he'll be anything better than a wide receiver 3 this week. He should probably see shadow coverage from Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore has been dominant this season. He's the number 1 corner in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. And just last week gave a passer rating up of just 1. Golden Tate. The Redskins are giving up just 4.6 receptions and not even half a touchdown a game to enemy slot receivers. Tate has been inconsistent, doesn't really have a place in this offense quite yet, and they're just forcing him the ball, and it's not really working out. I think the Redskins will be all over Tate. Sterling Shepard. Tough matchup versus the Bears, and Shepard hasn't been consistent at all. It seems the only guys you can trust on this offense are really Odell and Saquon, and Shepard isn't in that circle of trust really right now. Tight end starts, Eric Ebron. He scored 12 touchdowns this year. Do I need to say anything else? Plus, Jack Doyle is gone. So, there you go. Cameron Brate, Panthers, they have given up an NFL high 9 touchdown catches this year and the most points to enemy tight ends this season. So, that being said, Cameron Brate without O.J. Howard should have a very nice game along with Jameis Winston. Don't mind that Brate-Winston stack this week. Greg Olsen, the Buccaneers are number 3 in fantasy points allowed to tight ends. Olsen has had his best game of the season against the Bucs earlier this year. I expect him to have another good game this week once again against the Bucs. Matt Lacrosse, whatever you want to call him. The Bengals have surrendered the 2nd most catches for the 5th most yards, 2nd most touchdowns, 2nd most fantasy points to tight ends. So I know that Hireman is now gone. He's out for the year. So the Broncos need someone to step up at that position. Case Keenum really loves the tight end. I think this guy might be a sneaky start. David Njoku. The Texans have allowed a tight end to score in 3 games in a row. Could David Njoku be another game in a row? He had a really nice game last week. Can he continue? That's the question, but I have him as a start this week. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this fantasy start and sit 'em. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and leave your questions below in the comment section. Again, it's Mitch. Hope you enjoyed, and peace out.